It's a pandemic, and so you would hope that our government would do whatever it takes to protect our health. They are doing, of course, the exact opposite. The Trump administration asked the Supreme Court late Thursday to overturn the Affordable Care Act, a move that, if successful, would bring a permanent end to the health insurance program popularly known as Obamacare and wipe out coverage for as many as 23 million Americans, which is just... Can we just take a second and acknowledge that is something in the worst pandemic we've had in a century?
It is. It really is like the full Jim Jones Kool-Aid. My desire to feel superior to you, belief-wise, morally, it has no relationship to whether it helps me or other people live or die. You know, like I feel like that might be the barometer for your moral superiority. But or people just identify with this group of Trump. That's what makes them feel healthy. That's what makes them feel safe. And that doesn't translate in any way to them being healthier or safer.
Yeah. It's
from a strategic standpoint. What are you doing, guys? Like that, what I just said has to be their entire strategy. It's like, let's give people in the camp of Trump, let's double down on things we said when we were getting people into the camp of Trump.
Yeah, just go back to what worked.
But that didn't work. When you did that, you couldn't pass it. You couldn't pass Obamacare repeal. You couldn't pass Affordable Care Act repeal. And worse, you lost the House of Representatives, so you're even further away from that. So you're going to keep behaving the same way you did that led to the loss of your attempt to repeal Obamacare and your loss of the House of Representatives. It just doesn't seem smart.
Strategically, they're not trying to pass it. They're just trying to have the conservative Supreme Court strike it down effectively. So in terms of destroying it, I think the strategy is a little bit more sound. Pragmatically, in an election year dominated by deaths from a fatal illness, I mean, it seems like an odd choice.
The thing in the news is a health crisis, and you are eliminating people's health care, but maybe care is the operative word because
maybe
the folks but I don't know, but Trump supporters may have lost their jobs. Aren't they complaining about losing their jobs? And now they're out there swimming around instead of just coronavirus and goo. Now they're swimming around. They'll be swimming around in medical debt.
I mean, I guess I know that it's sometimes my advice to the Republican Party is impossible. They could never actually do it. But considering how public opinion on Medicare for All has changed, if Trump did the thing he did last time in 2016, where he was like, no, I want literally everyone to have insurance and the government is going to pay for it, when he lied and said that that's what he was for, that might actually really help him. It would seem like he's changing in response to the pandemic, caring about people's lives. His audience would lap it up, especially because so many of them have lost their jobs. But that's not the direction they're going in. They're going in the direction of, we think we have so successfully brainwashed our fans that it won't hurt us to throw 24 million people off their health insurance, but that we know that our fans hate the ACA. They've been trained to for more than a decade, and so at least it'll look like we're doing what they want. Anyway, we don't know as of right now when the court is going to hear oral arguments in regards to this, but they're most likely to take place in the fall, just as Americans are preparing to go to the polls in November. So it is going to be an amazing, natural experiment, I guess. They've injected this into the election. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them.
It's the most counterintuitive series of actions taken by the president. They want to get rid of healthcare during a health crisis. They want to do it as people are going to the polls to vote. Along the way, Trump his first attempt was only to get them to overturn the protections for pre-existing conditions. And in the meantime, he's tried to eliminate funding for coronavirus prevention and diagnosis. The only part of that seems intuitive is he's trying to game the system, but only in testing. In deaths, it'll still be the same. Like, he'll get a worse batting average in terms of like cases presenting and mortality.
Yeah, yeah, and we're gonna break one of his little myths about mortality rate in a little bit, but yeah, it's an amazing strategy. It does make some degree of sense, at least in terms of continuing the pattern of not giving a damn about the pandemic from the very beginning. And I will give them this. If he wins, if the Republicans win a bunch of Senate seats and he wins after this year, what we know nothing about elections. We know nothing about anything. We know nothing about what the government needs to do to earn the vote of its citizens, what it needs to, like, does it need to protect us for us to continue to support it? Apparently not. Like, it'll be an amazing day of awakening if he wins. And not just, through electoral college shenanigans. Like, if people actually turn out and vote for him, he wins the popular vote, that will really be something.
Yeah. It's, and what does that mean? Like, in what way do we know nothing? Like, I live by the beach. We had some electrical issues. We had an electrician come out, and I wish I still had it. But, like, there's a very simple circuit breaker that goes on and off, and that's how it's supposed to work. You turn it on when you want power. You turn it off when you don't want power. But because of the ocean air, things just get corroded little by little, and it was impossible to turn the breaker on and off anymore because it was just stuck in place. All of the changes made by Mitch McConnell to get judges, all of these weird flexes of the legislature to eliminate polling places, to suppress the vote. Those are all those little micro changes, the corrosion that has been at work to the point where, like, I don't know exactly when it got past that point. I don't know exactly all the factors that go into ruining the devices of democracy. But the question is, can we replace the breaker before it's just stuck in place?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't know. Perhaps we'll see. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.